it'll definitely make your family feel like dinner is worth celebrating and family worth celebrating. I like it spicy. Oh yeah. Enjoy this feast for the eyes as well as for the soul. Something like this can bring your children close to the church because you're bringing them closer to your own domestic church. Oh, you're definitely going to like this. This will definitely help you to savor our faith. Hello, I'm Father Leo Patalinghug, the host of GraceBeforeMeals.com, and you're watching EWTN's Savoring Our Faith. And let me tell you, the dish that I'm going to make now will definitely make your mouth water. And it will simply be taking some old bread, and we're going to give it a new life to the point where it's going to be fluffy and bubbly and oh, so delicious. It's going to be my take on a bread pudding. And the key to bread pudding is crusty, nasty, old, dried bread. What are you supposed to do with it? I know that there are a lot of people in the Old Testament who basically didn't want to eat that bread anymore. But infused with a little bit of grace, you just give it new life. And that's what we're going to do. But we've got to get the wet ingredients to combine with the dry ingredients. And so I'm basically going to put on a medium heat, because I don't want to scald the milk. Just about a cup of milk. And this will serve about 2 or 3 people. And to it, I'm going to also just take some chocolate, which is very easily, you can just get any type of chocolate you want. And we're just going to chop it up into little shreds, just like that, just to help it break down a little bit more easily. And if you like a lot of chocolate, then add a lot of chocolate. And this will help kind of melt it all up. In fact, there you go. That'll make it taste good. This will help bring out just a unique flavor to basically simple bread. And we also then have to add some eggs as well. You know, there's something very special about bread. It's basically in almost every culture that they have it, their form of it. And obviously for Catholics, the most important bread is the bread of life. And that bread of life, even though it might just seem like a dry piece of toast, we know that it's infused with such grace that when we receive it with a pure heart, it literally gives us new life, which is one reason why Christ said, I am the bread of life. Unless you eat this bread, you will die. Now, our ancestors ate manna in the desert, and that was dry, crusty bread, only because their hearts were a little hardened. They didn't realize that God was using that to inspire a deeper faith. And if there's any one thing that we can do is inspire more faith. I can just imagine you taking a dessert like this and having a delicious conversation with your children about what the Eucharist means. How you can simply take something old and then make it into something new and something that's going to inspire you. So here we go. We've got a little bit of this chocolate, now making chocolate milk. And I'm also going to add a couple other little flavor components, such as some delicious cinnamon, some ground cinnamon, and also some jam. You can use any type of jam that you want. And this is just a little strawberry jam. All right. So about maybe a tablespoon or maybe 2 if you want. You don't want to make it super, super sweet to the point where it's just so saccharine-y flavored. And so to help with that, here's my little trick also, is to add a little pinch of salt. Just a little pinch of salt that will help temper some of the sweetness. Now that we've got this completely mixed, we will also bring it to the eggs, but even this requires a little bit of patience in tempering as well. So this is called tempering the eggs. When you take something like this and you add something hot to it, if you do it too quickly, you're going to scramble eggs. And so we're going to add just a little bit at a time. Whoop. That way it'll bring it up to a nice heat. And then we'll add the rest, and I will clean that mess up too, because cleanliness is next to godliness. All right, we've added this. We did not scramble the eggs. And now because it is bread pudding, guess what? You need the bread. And like I said, we're using dried, crusty bread. Stuff that you probably never would even think would be worth it. And I'm just going to add it right to this mix. And it will get all nice and soaked up, and I just say take up all the goodness, so to speak. Again, this is something that you can do just to show your children that with a little bit of God's grace, you can be renewed, including this old crusty piece of bread into some really delicious dessert. So we're just going to continue taking this old crusty bread, ripping it up. There is no need to be fancy about this one. While I'm doing this, by the way, I've got my oven preheated to about 350 degrees. Let's see how we go here. The more of this, the better. It's just going to simply continue to soak it all up, and you want to give it some time. No need to rush it, but I think there's enough in there to get rid of all this bread. Nothing should go to waste. In fact, it's so true with faith. Nothing goes to waste. You put anything in God's hands, He will renew it. He will give it new life. All right, I told you this is crusty. All right, you know what? That's a big piece of that. Simply means we're going to make sure that that one soaks a good long while. We're going to make sure that this soaks. Take in all of this delicious goodness, and with that preheated oven going to about 350 degrees, let that bad boy soak. We get a little pan ready so that it comes out quickly and easily. We will spray this down. So, nice, simple, spray it all down. And now, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to add a little bit of butter. But don't you worry, in the oven, it'll all work out. So basically, I should have put this butter in with the mix already. But because I forgot, I think God will forgive me. And the heat of the oven will definitely cook it out. And as a matter of fact, those pieces where the butter is kind of cooking alongside, that'll make those extra delicious. So get that all mixed up. And into this little baking dish. So here we go. We're just going to pour it all in here. Old crusty bread with a lot of goodness and grace. Pop that into the oven for about 25-30 minutes until it turns nice and bubbly, and you will get something like this. And this is my version of bread pudding, and we were going to dish it up and definitely savor the goodness of God. He who can take something old and lifeless and give it new life is who we celebrate. Now, to make this extra special, I'm going to take a little bit of, I'm going to take a little bit of whipped cream. Just right on top. I could whip my own heavy whipping cream, but hey, taking this little shortcut won't hurt it at all, simply because it's not about just making things always so fancy to the point where it's complicated, but it's making something special. And that's exactly what we did with this delicious, not the bread of life, but it's old bread that's been given new life just because we're allowing faith and grace to touch it. We hope you savor this delicious dish and this delicious dessert. It's definitely not a walk in the desert, and I guarantee you, it'll definitely make you savor your faith.
To get this recipe, log on to EWTN.com/savoringourfaith.